All right, everybody, it is that time of year again. It's time for you to get out and nominate for your favorite podcast. The show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards is The Centralist in the category of politics and news. The Centralist is a much different news and political program which is not deemed as opinion news. Listen as Joe Montaldo brings you just the facts from trusted sources, which will allow you to make up your own minds on the various stories being reported on. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Centralist in the category of politics and news. And that's podcastawards.com. Take a moment, go and vote, and as Joe would say, come on guys, vote, vote, get out there, vote. What you waiting for? Yes, it's that time of year again. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. So there's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. You've been hearing it for years now. It's the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. So this show is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard and provides advice and tips from contest judges, international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest winners, and industry professionals for writers and illustrators wanting to take their next step. So go to podcastawards.com and nominate the Writers and Illustrators of Future podcast in all 3 categories. That was education, storyteller drama, and art. And that's podcastawards.com. So take a moment and get your votes in. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. There's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards, UFO Undercover, in the category of entertainment. This show brings you some of the most revealing and current research that is being done with respect to alien abductions and contact. Host Joe Montaldo has been an abduction researcher for over 35 years and is uniquely qualified to bring you live interviews with some of the most well-known researchers in ufology. So go to podcastawards.com and nominate UFO Undercover in the category of entertainment. That's podcastawards.com. So take a moment, get out and vote. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. The show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards is The Outer Realm. And that's in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which has millions of listeners each week. They are well known for their laid-back, round-table style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, and anything else that would be deemed outside the realm of normal. Michelle is an international public figure who has spent the last 2 decades working in the international paranormal community, in research and media. Amelia is a remote viewing medium with 10 years of working with missing children, as well as cold and active murder cases. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com. It's super easy. So just please take a moment and get out and go vote.
Tune in to UFO Undercover, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, with your host, Joe Montaldo, right here on the Paranormal Radio Network.
I had enough.
Well, you drove out there into the middle of nowhere and had some sort of loud verbal display challenging ET in general out in the middle of nowhere?
That's what I was doing. I actually had a pistol in my hand at the time. I was really ticked off. When I was having this fit, I was waving the gun in the air, okay, and I had this fit. And at this moment, I said, okay.
He was a Louisiana man named Montaldo. Folks around called him Six Gun Joe. Worked with ICAR, don't you know? Investigating UFO. Out for a drive with a gal one night, they stopped to check out the reporting site. When an alien lit right there on the ground, commenced to throwing his weight around. Now, old Six Gun didn't take too kindly to that kind of thing, especially without Vaseline or anything like that, Seriously. Well, Six Gun looked that critter right in the eye and said, "Any last wish before you die?" Yo, reached for his gun, quick as a twitch, and said, "Fill your claw, you son of a bitch." Now a legend spread across the land about this pistol-waving man. But if you're from space or from Earth below, you don't give no lip to Six Gun Joe.
Welcome to UFO Undercover with your host, Joe Montaldo.
Woohoo, man, all them promos, all them commercials, man, I watched like 20 people disappear while we were doing promos. Anyway, welcome to UFO Undercover. I hope everyone's having a good day today, wherever you are on our big planet. And there's lots of places to be hanging out. And in America, it's nice. It's a little hot right now in the south, but, the north is making up for it. It's a little hot up in the north, too, but not like it is down here. But still, we're all suffering from the heat, and we'll all be bitching in midwinter when it's cold again. But right now, it's hot, and we're just, dealing with the heat like always. And it's one of those things. We got a little depression out in the Gulf. Going to bring us a bunch of rain. Ooh, so much fun. Tonight, we're really going to be talking about alien abductions, what you should expect from an alien abduction, what's involved in alien abduction, should there be fear of these alien abductions, and are these aliens today the gods of the past? It's a really good question. Probably going to do a panel on that in the near future. Or these aliens today the gods of the past? I would imagine quite a few of them are. How many exactly? Where the hell is what's on fire? Sorry guys, there's something on fire over here. My wife must have been up in here. And I don't smoke. Sorry, people. It's anyway. Sorry, moving on. But that's what we're going to really be talking about tonight. Should you really be scared of the aliens today, and are they really the gods of yesterday? And will they be the gods of tomorrow if something happens or our planet goes rogue? Or, it doesn't take much for us to go backwards. If you think about it, the more advanced we become, the easier it is to revert. And what I mean by that is, so in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, it would have been hard to revert. There was lots of books, lots of hand tools. That's the way everybody was taught. It was a different world. And the more we get modernized, the more we put everything digitally and less books we make. If something was to wipe out a good chunk of the book supply to libraries, or some kind of worm was we'd be in trouble, because if we got nuked, you don't have access to electronics. So if you don't have paperback books or books to read with just diagrams or whatever you want to call them, you're screwed. Most people do not know how to build a computer. Now, I can build a computer from the ground up. I can program the whole 9 yards, but I can't build the microchips. Oh, no, it's not something I can do. I don't have the equipment to build the motherboards. Even though I know how to do it, I still couldn't do it because I don't have the equipment. So for most people, this is going to be lost knowledge. So that computer is going to go away real fast. How do you make gasoline? We know it comes from crude oil. Does anybody know how to crack it? I'm sure there's a few people out there to do, but then the majority don't. So it would be really easy for us to go backwards really fast. More than likely, it's happened on this planet before. There is evidence to suggest that there's been more advanced races prior to us. Now, we could say they were alien, or we could say they were us. We don't really know. All we know is there's a thing called OPARTs, which is out-of-place artifacts. These are artifacts that are found around the world that have no business being where they are, found in beds of coal that are 2, 3, 4, 5 million years old, found inside of geodes, found in other things. Now, you got to watch. There have been some fakes along the way. There was a particular battery found in a geode that is a fake. There was 2 others found that are not. It's a weird, but they were different kind of things, and it was different type of geode, and it was different kind of battery, to be honest with you. But still, we have found wrenches. We have found hammers. We have found half axes. We have found gears and cogs. We have found quite a few things that just don't belong. The latest one I know of was a titanium gear that was actually cog. They call it a cog, gear cog, whatever you want to call it. Was found in, I think, in the end of the 90s, early 2000s. It's titanium. We've only been using titanium for 20 years, maybe 30 if you count it inside of our jets. Oh, wait a minute, man. I mean, that's how the hell they get back 2 million, 3 million, 5 million years ago. It was found in a compressed coal bed, a coal bed that was actually probably would have been turning into diamonds in the next 5 or 10 million years because the coal was very compressed. And there it was. It's been there for at least 5 million years. Ah, look. As far as I know, there was no titanium gears on the planet 5 million years ago. And it would have actually had to get there before that because it was actually inside the bed. So it would have probably been a couple of years before that, a couple thousand years, maybe a couple 100,000 years before that. When it was all the debris and the dead animals that were being crushed down to make coal. Coal crude oil is just a form of one form of another thing, but they're both kind of made the same way. It's just carbon crushed, leftover parts of animals, things like that, weighed down, and eventually it becomes solidified or it becomes hard, like cold. So it's up to you. But I mean, these kind of things are easy for us to go backwards. I mean, most people don't even know how their car works. And today's cars are much more complicated than the cars from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, which were pretty much straightforward. There wasn't really much to know, I mean, you were just pretty straightforward. Today, no, there's a lot of electronics in cars today, and those electronics have to work for your car to perform correctly. So the farther we go, the more complicated it's going to get. So as we go in another 10,000 years, you'll only find books in museum libraries. And if something happens to those in 100,000 years, you might not even be able to find those. Those may be brought down and put on the ground somewhere, or put out because they'll become very delicate. They'll be air sealed. You won't be able to touch them. If you do touch them or open them, they'll probably disintegrate. So it's not going to be there to help humanity. And if you don't have electronics or whatever the version of electronics will be in that particular time frame, you're screwed. And it doesn't have to be a war. That's what people understand. It doesn't have to be a war to wipe us out or to set us backwards. There could be an asteroid come through and split into a couple of pieces, charged with an EMP pulse, EMP field when it comes in. So not only would it do devastating damage by the impact, but also the EMP fields would also do devastating impact as well. So we wouldn't even be able to respond. First responders, we'd find ourselves, none of our vehicles would work, nothing would work. Well, Joshua, they do have EMP field and on some of our jets and stuff like that, which is, I think, is still classified, but not classified where it's going to get anybody in trouble. But a lot of the electronics on certain types of jets have a type of shielding over them. Because you're doing Mach 3 in the air and a pulse comes through, you don't want to fall out the sky. So your car, you can just turn your car off. I would recommend turning your car off and hooking your battery, but just turning your car off most of the time will do it. Well, usually if the EMP pulse is going to work, the electronics have to be active. And then it does quite a lot of damage to it's not just, it can wipe out several parts in electronics. So it's not just an easy fix. You're not going to be able to go change out one chip. You have to change out a couple of boards or something. And then it might go back to work. And yeah, it's not going to damage the engine or the transmission or any of that. It's just going to damage the electronics, the things that make the car run. So anyway, we're getting a little off course here, but that's another thing. That takes us back to where we were. So if the aliens are here or people are here, whatever it is that could set us backwards, it would really be easy for humans to revert. Now, let's say that something did happen and we did revert and the aliens were here. What happens if they split the society? In other words, the contactees will still have, they'll still be pervy to different things, to different technologies, whereas the rest of the planet won't. What kind of problems would that make? I'm just curious because here you are, part of the planet would be just devastated and have no real working anything, cars, boats, anything, no cranes, you'd be plowing fields with oxen and cows again and bulls. That's how you'd be going back to it. And not that many people around today even know how to do that. A lot of people today don't even know how to build equipment to do it. The harnesses and all that go along with this is not an easy thing, or even making the plow head itself. These are things done today are done by tractors, and the plow heads are made in machineries. They're machined out. A lot of them are made in molds now. So it's what I'm saying. We could find ourselves really less than 200 years. We could find ourselves back to where we were 100 years ago. And actually we'd go further back. The sad part about this is we would revert back quite a long ways before we actually started going forward again. Yeah, I think we'd revert past the cowboy days and stuff like that. Probably revert all the way back to like the end of the Well, around the start of the start of AD. Yeah, around 0 AD. Yeah, it's probably what we revert back to. So, or even further. It is possible to revert back all the way to caveman days because we have no idea what's going on. And there's going to be a massive loss of population and life right off the bat. Just boom. I don't think the aliens are going to step in. Whoever that came from just now, I didn't say. I just seen it pop. Oh, there it is. It's I don't think they're going to step in and intervene. They may intervene on behalf of the people they're taking in those family lines, but other than that, I really, really, really don't think they're going to intervene. I think they're just going to be like, well, you know what? Humans, we love you, but guess what? Y'all screwed up. But I do think they will intervene on the behalf of their contactees. And the main reason why is we don't know how many generations they've been screwing around with our DNA. We know at least 10,000 years or more, because that's what all the ancient monuments point back to. That's when they line up, is at 12,500 BC. So there was a significant event there. The end of the Ice Age, the invention or the invasion of aliens, whatever it was, there was something significant that happened back then. And we've just been coming forward since then. But a lot of the stuff we learned, think about the Great Library of Alexandria. Think what happened when it was burned. Do you know that's 3,000 years or 2,500 years of knowledge that was burned? None of us know what the hell was in there because no one was alive then. None of us were alive. Not even, I mean, we're talking a long time ago, and it's gone. And I hate anytime I see anything burning anything that's knowledge, it just burns my ass, actually. Sorry for the language, but it does. And I don't think that's something aliens are going to push. They seem to be more about enlightening knowledge. And when I mean enlightening, I don't mean like peace, love, and light stuff. I just mean enlightening to the world, the way it works, the way things move, how the universe works, how everything connects together. Not so much in a spiritual sense or in an enlightened sense, but more in a physical science sense. I think they want us to understand it. Understanding is the key of evolution. So I think if we understand it, it'll help us evolve. But again, I don't think they're here for everybody on the planet. I don't think the 2.3 billion people are today on this planet are here. I mean, I don't think they're going to be, I don't think the aliens care. Let me put it this way. I don't think the aliens care about only about 1.4 billion of them. The other 5.5, 5.6 billion, I don't think they care. The funny part is I don't think they care if they know, if the rest of the planet knows they're here. Because as far as they're concerned, this is why you'll never see disclosure from the aliens, because they've already disclosed. They're disclosed to their contactees and abductees. That's the only people they care about knowing. They don't care if our military knows. They don't care if our government knows. They don't care if our citizenship knows. All they care about is the people that they're taking, and those people are the only ones they care about. They really don't care about anything else. It just is the way it works. It's not a mean thing or anything else. It's just, unfortunately, they have their agendas and what's going on in their agenda, and that's what they think. I mean, they don't think the rest of the planet needs to know. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. I don't think they care that the rest of the planet knows they're here. One, there's nothing they can do about it. I mean, really, what is the government? I mean, what is the government or the people going to do? Okay, let's say tomorrow we find out beyond any reason without that aliens exist. Okay, wow, it's for real. Jesus, it's real. Who could have known it was real? Okay, that's fine. I can go for that. And what's the government going to do about it? What are they going to come in and say? You bad aliens, you're going to go home? No, because the aliens are going to give them the you know what. The aliens just don't care about the majority of the planet. It's not what they're here for. They're here for whatever family lines they originally started abducting. And this is an argument. Some people say 10,000 years. Some people say 50,000 years. Some people say 200,000. Some say 2 million. I don't know. I wasn't living back then. I do know that RH negative showed up around 25,000 years ago or 45,000 years ago. So I figured that's when the Greys showed up. As far as the other two races, they were probably here longer than that. Our problem is we try to cram this much history into a space this big, and it just doesn't work. There's just things about our history that doesn't add up. And I'm not hating. I mean, it's hard. I mean, history's a tough thing. We don't have all the answers. We don't have all the pieces. And then people ask me all the time, well, Joe, where should I start in ufology? Well, the best place to start is in the past. Because if you're chasing UFOs, and we're not talking about abductions here, when you're chasing UFOs, if you really want to start, you start in the past. Because anything more than 200 years ago that's flying around in the sky is of great interest to any researcher. Because what was it? it was no giant birds. I mean, what was this? What was the thing that hovered over the Iranian city? It wasn't Iran, it was Persia back then, but hovered over the gates of the city. And then for while it was under siege for 3 months, this thing showed up, a silver disc with a blue beam of light, and blew the gates out. And it's reported the same way by both the winners and the losers. What the hell was it? I mean, there was nothing flying around the skies back then. We don't even have things today that can go hover and shoot blue beams out. So what the hell was it? So here's a 3,000-year-old story, been verified front and back, and nobody knows what happened. We've got in London, we've got several different types of UFOs being seen by multiple witnesses. Matter of fact, a lot of the ancient stories are not like the stories today where one or two people see it. Back then, it seemed like big groups, sometimes cities, towns have seen them. It wasn't like it is today. So they didn't feel the need to hide themselves back then like they do today. You figure out why. Why is it they feel they need to hide today? And in the back, they were open and traveled amongst us. I mean, the Egyptians seem to talk about them great a bit. So do the Sumerians. I mean, aliens have been on our planet for a long time, and they've been abducting us. And we do believe that at least one of our blood types, if not all three, are directly from them. The Rh negative, no one can explain where it came from. No one. I have talked to more hematologists about this. I mean, I worked with 3 of them when we did the original study. And since then, I've probably talked to 25, maybe 30, not just from the U.S., but around the world. And they tell me the same thing. Well, Rh negative is really cool. We don't know where the hell it came from, but we do need it. It is very important to our society. O negative is the purest form of blood known to man and the universal donor. Okay, so what were we going to do without it? So for 2 million years, we ran around with brown hair, brown eyes, and O positive blood. I mean, an Rh positive blood. And that's who we were. I find it interesting because most scientists predict that eventually we will go back to a cream-colored race, basically just a cream-colored race. The only difference is this race will have colored eyes and colored hair, and the first race didn't. They had brown skin, but they had brown eyes and brown hair too, or black hair. So it was a different thing. So anyway, we know the aliens started sometime in those time frames. We do believe that the Sumerians probably created a slave race that the reptilians felt the need to intervene into. Reptilians did it. I think, I got to be honest, from everything I've read and the research I've done, I think the reptilians did it out of spite. I want to think they did it to help us, okay? Because we were the ones that were the slave race. The Sumerians, the aliens that were with the Sumerians, with the human type aliens, had created a race by using some local things. At first, they tried a couple of different things then they finally found a creature kind of like a human, but not quite. And that creature, that creature became what they were going to use to make man. And all they did is they took some of their DNA and mixed it in with this creature's DNA, and it became human in a sense that it kind of looked like us. It was shorter than us, stockier than us, didn't ask questions. All it really did was work and procreate. That was its jobs. So the Sumerians, not Sumerians, the Dogon the reptilians were hanging out with the Dogon. Reptilians decided, for whatever reason, they came in and started stealing the women and raping them and bringing them back. The women were having new children. Every time I've heard this story, I originally thought that when they said that the children looked different or were born different, I thought they meant they looked different. But that's not what it was. They now had that little reptilian section in our brain that all humans on this planet have today. And they decided, guess what? Screw you. I'm not plowing your fields anymore. No, I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing that. As a matter of fact, the aliens were so outnumbered by what they had created that those humans just ran them off the planet. And the Sumerians go into pretty good detail about this. The Dogon actually go into detail about it too, and I'm pretty sure the Egyptians as well. So here you have a solid story, and we all know without the reptilian section in our brain, we would be, how can I say this nicely, mousy at best. Okay, you know what mousy means? Mousy. That's at best. That's where we would be without that reptilian section of the brain. It's not that it makes us aggressive, that want to hurt people. It makes us stand up for ourselves. It makes us self-aware in who and what we are and what we should be doing. That's what it does. And it's an important part of who and what we are. And yet, it is a reptilian section. It's not a human section. Now, you can say, oh, we evolved from the dinosaurs and blah, 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 but nobody can prove that. But here we've got stories and legends from 3 different races that say this is what happened. And there is some evidence. There are been skulls found on this planet that are subhuman. They're not ape, but they're subhuman from us. and not just in the Middle East or Africa, but they've also been found in South America. There've actually been some pretty old skulls found in South America that aren't really supposed to be there, so that's another problem. And in South America seems to be one of the aliens' favorite places. The Aztecs, the Mayans, the Incans, the Toltecs, all of them seem to have had a connection with them. And they seem to have a connection with the reptilians, even though three of those races were extremely bloody races, one more so than the other. They did believe in science. They believed in charting the universe. They believed in, agriculture. They believed in astronomy. I mean, they were an advanced culture for the time, all except for the bloodletting, and they only did that to their enemies. But they definitely believed that there was something other than us. And they believed that the reptilians brought in light and strength to us, not anything else. So, and a matter of fact, a lot of the old African tribes and even a lot of the Middle Easterns, even some of the Europeans actually believed that as well. It wasn't until the time of Christ that changed. The Christians did a good job changing that. They switched it over, or maybe that's when they say the Greys came in. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they switched it over. But the reptilians seemed to have had a good run there for a while after they kind of interfered or directly changed our breeding. But what's weird about that is we don't ever know what the original part of us was. We don't know what it came from. So we know the Sumerians were in there, we know the reptilians in there, and we now know the Greys came in later on. So technically, our little human race has our original species, whatever it was, ape, monkey, whatever weird human thing it was. Martian, maybe, it was somebody left over from Atlantean, who knows. But anyway, whatever it was, and then, we had the evolution of man forward. And it seems like the aliens have been right there with each step of our evolution, every time. So getting back to what the original topic is tonight is alien abduction. This gives you an idea why they would be taking you. So think about it. You have now created a race that has three very advanced races DNA in them, plus some other DNA we don't know about what it is. This is a dangerous race. And I don't mean just in the fact that we might blow stuff up, but sometime in the history, we will pass them up. We will evolve past them. Simply because we have all three of their DNA, we will evolve past them. And maybe that's really what worries them the most. That right now they can control us, but in 100 million years or 500 million years or 1 billion years, they might not be able to. And will we still be friends with them? Will we hold a grudge for all the alien abduction stuff? Who knows for sure? None of us will be around to know. So unless you're one of the lucky ones that gets put into a host body, but it's a scary thought on where this could actually go humans could become the super race. They really could. It's just, will we make it that long to become the super race? I guess is the real question, isn't it? As it is right now, it's 50-50. Sorry, guys. It is really 50-50 at the moment. I mean, looking at the world today, it's a coin toss whether we're going to make it 50 years, 100 years, 5,000 years. Right now, I wouldn't even bet on 50. It's a coin toss. We have too many people on the planet that feel a need to assert themselves. The Russians, I don't even know what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing, because really they're not a world power anymore. The Chinese are. And they want to, but they really don't want to get into a fight. So, but we always have them, and then we have the aliens, and I don't think the aliens are going to step in. I really don't. I don't think, for whatever reason, the aliens will step in. I think they will be, it's our planet now. Yeah, Kaye. It might be a better plan for them. I mean, if everybody dies on Earth except for the ones they've been working on, now they have a planet to colonize. Or maybe they know that's what's coming. Maybe they've already seen the future and they know what's coming. And maybe it's not a war. Maybe it's an asteroid. Maybe it's an upgraded version of COVID. But we don't know what it's going to be, because any virus could wipe us out. We've seen that with COVID, how easy it would be if it was really a deadly one. So, I mean, all of these things can play back if they really wanted us gone. And that's what I mean. If the aliens didn't want us here, we'd be dead. That's bottom line. In one shape, form, or fashion, they would have killed us all off, and probably without damaging the planet. Well, you got to understand from their point of view, they don't think we're killing the planet. That's not how they look at it. When you hear people, oh, they say we're killing it, that's bullshit. That's how you know someone's lying to you. Okay, when they say that, when they're aliens, because aliens know we're not killing the planet. There's nothing that we're doing to the planet that the planet won't fix when we're gone, or even sooner. We've already seen it. The planet has been transformed more times than any of us even know. There's been, 5 great extinctions, and each time the planet was transformed over, there has been, come on, we started off as Pangea right there, and then there was another major. So the planet transforms itself every so often. So trying to act like, they're going to be cared because we did something stupid. And besides that, remember, they probably can clean up a nuclear war or a virus. It's not like us where we're all, they probably can do that. That's probably well within their technological ranges. So from their point of view, we're not killing the planet. We're only killing ourselves. And I try to get this across to people all the time because we're not killing the planet. We're killing us. We're not going to kill the planet unless we build a core buster nuke and stick it in the core. We're not going to kill the planet. But we can kill ourselves. That's, I guess, the difference. And, we're always talking about going to Mars. Well, come on, man. We're tearing up this one. I guess we're going to Mars and tear up 2 of them. But Mars is different, too, because it'll be a whole different world. One, you won't be able to go outside without a pressure suit and oxygen. Eventually, they'll probably get it to where you don't need a pressure suit, but you'll still need oxygen. It's a different world. Think about it, though. If you're downstairs on your first floor, you could jump up to the 4th floor without taking the stairs. I guess you won't even need stairs, just a rail and pull yourself up. It's a different kind of lifestyle. You have all long, linky arms and legs like those Greys do. Maybe that's where the Greys are from. Who knows? To me, it's scary stuff because we haven't even got into government stuff now. We've just been talking about, if we did something stupid and what would the aliens do? Would they save us? Like, again, and we're going to move on after this. The only people I think they would bother saving is the people they work with, is the original family lines. Nobody knows how many family lines there are, but the estimation is that the population is 15% that gets taken. They don't all get taken at the same time, and they don't all get taken for life. But they do believe the current population would be around 15%. 10 to 15, depending on who you want to believe. So that's still like 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 billion people. That's a good start of a colony there. It's not like the 7 billion. And people were overcrowded. No, Earth's nowhere near overcrowded. That's more bullshit. If you ever drive across the United States or Europe, well, Europe's a little bit crowded, but through Africa, United States, or South America, you will realize when you don't see another town for a half a day and all you see is millions and millions and millions and millions of acres, you realize, oh, guess what? We can have a lot more people if we wanted to. Any of this can be converted to farmland. Any of this can be converted to cities. Just the southern states alone could probably take another 10 billion people. So but Mars is a fix to that anyway. Yeah, no, Glenn. So that's a good question. If you're living on Mars, will the aliens come get you? I think so. Since they'll take you in jail, take you in the military, take you at home, take you in your car, take you in a damn boat. They take you out while you're walking your damn dog. Sitting there playing with your baby. Yeah, they'll take you and the baby. I know that piss you off. So, they have no respect as far as what we're doing or where we're at when they take us. It really and truly they don't. They're like, oh, there's Bob grabbing. Oh, there's James grabbing. Oh, there's Sheree grabbing. And it's because it's their schedule. It's not ours. We're not insignificant, like someone said earlier, but we're not significant in the fact that we can change what they're doing. No, they've got what they want to do. They really do have what they want to do. Let me switch the chat rooms over so I can see this one. Hey, who's that? Let's see, Andrew in there. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? Kayan, how you doing? Lucas, how you doing? Oh, same person. Okay. Anyway, well, I got 2 chat areas opened up, but still, the aliens just have their agendas. I don't want to say agenda because it's way more than one agenda, and they really do for their people. Okay, for their people, and that's how I'm gonna say it, for their people. They want to see the best things happen to them. They really do. They only want the best for them, and well, as long as the best serves their agendas. No, that was evil to say it that way, but it's true. It's only if it serves their agendas, then that's what they want. If it doesn't serve their agendas, it's just like anything else in life, like screw you, and we don't care, and we're going to move on. And we will in a few minutes, Mike. We'll get into classic abductions in a few minutes. But so, don't count on the aliens to save the world. Don't count on the aliens to save you. Count on yourself and help to save your own world. I think they would be more impressed if we would get together and just, save our own selves than we do anything else. But right now we're come on, there's 200 countries. There's 7 billion people in 200 countries, and people wonder why we don't get along. I mean, that's just dumb. That needs to change. And the bad part is 2/3 of the world, more than that, about 85% of the world, pretty much agree on how we should be doing things. The other 15% is a problem, but they could easily be overwhelmed. Right now, your only sore spots are China, Russia, Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, for the most part, and they could easily be overwhelmed. That's 2 billion people out of it's at least 5.5 billion against. Yeah, I think you're done. I think you're overwhelmed. So I just, we can fix it. We just don't want to fix it, or the politicians don't want to fix it. And ET's not going to. It's not their job. The aliens are not here to save us or get involved in our politics. They really don't give about our politics. When people tell me all the time, "Oh, aliens care about," no, they don't. Matter of fact, for the most part, they think our politics is ignorant. They're like, how ignorant are these humans? How come they haven't gotten past this yet? How can no one take responsibility for anything, and why doesn't anyone tell the truth? That's how they look at it. And that's how we look at it. Isn't that coincidental? We both look at it the same way, but it seems nothing still doesn't get done. Let me scratch my head for a minute. It's one of those things, people. But anyway, enough about all of that. So let's say, we're going to use Andrew since he's in the chat room. Let's just say Andrew was on his way home. You ever see the movie Taken, or the series Taken, the 10 episode series Taken miniseries? You should go watch it because there's some interesting stuff in there. There's a lot of fake stuff in there, but there's a lot of unique stuff that they have a researcher. They must have had somebody that was tuning into iCar, one of the subgroups from iCar, because there's a lot of stuff in there we talk about they actually use, like the way they walk up the side of the walls, the clowns, the dolls, stuff like that. And, it's a strange thing, but. So here's Andrew. Andrew's hanging out. Andrew's sitting out on his porch, chilling out, watching whoever walk down the streets. And he's just, kind of hanging. And he starts feeling this weird sensation in his stomach and his back. Hey, Nicole. He starts feeling this weird sensation. All of a sudden, he notices that there's light seems to be pulsing around him, glowing around him. And when he looks forward straight out, instead of seeing the street, he just sees this bluish white light. At this point, he just kind of becomes, this almost limp individual, something that's like, maybe after a good hypnosis session or maybe after a good hot tub, you get that that's kind of how he feels. So next time he opens his eyes, he realizes he's laying on this clear table. We're going to talk about the grade. So he's laying on this clear table that bubbled up from the floor and became a table, actually. So he's actually laying on this thing, and he looks open and he sees these 3-foot grays and a couple of 5-foot grays standing around. And he's like, okay, and who did I pee off? I mean, immediately, that's the first thing out of your mind. Because they're not all here to be evil or mean or to kill us. It's not their job. And that's not even what they want to do with us. They really want humans to step up, but they want us to step up mentally, and they want us to step up on our own. They don't feel the need. Like I said earlier, they're not going to tell you to save the planet, because they don't believe we're killing the planet, but all they believe is we're killing ourselves, which is the truth. We're not killing Earth. Earth's been, everybody forgets this, but Earth has been iceless more than once. Not just one time, but more than once. This planet has had no ice on it, high carbon, and lots of vegetation. What always cracks me up is when I hear people talk about the greenhouse effect. They don't realize what the greenhouse effect actually does. So we've had a greenhouse effect 65 million years ago when the dinosaurs were here. We were in a major greenhouse effect. There was no ice on the planet anywhere. It was all melted. There was a much higher carbon, a much higher oxygen content than it is today. And it was a much, much lusher planet because of carbon, which plants love, and oxygen are right there for everything. So everything was blooming and growing. It was just a good time on Earth. But it was a different type of planet than it is today. This is a fact. The last 10,000 years of Earth's history has been its calmest in its entire history that we can watch. Almost like someone cut out a section for us so that we could actually evolve into something. Because honestly, without that little 10,000 years calm, we would have never survived. Something would have wiped us out, another ice age, bigger animals would have eventually just got wiped out. It's that little calm, that little 10,000 years, and that reptilian section in our brain that brought us to be the beings we are today. And it's pure science. It has nothing to do with anything else. That's just what it is. And maybe it's one of the things the aliens find interesting about us is that some of us are born survivors. Some humans are just born survivors. What do you mean, Michael? Oh, you mean peace, love, and light's what you're talking about? No. Well, no. You should always. It doesn't matter if you feel like you need to put a message out to help save the planet or to help save yourself, to help bring the planet into a better being. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why people want to hate on it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It may not be the exact correct way to say it, but still, you're working for the same goal to clean up our planet and make it a better place for us. Because it'll evolve past us. That's what people don't realize. Earth will evolve right past us if we're not careful, and we will become extinct. Or we'll go through a cluster of red giants and we'll be extinct, which we're going to pass through a cluster in about 125 million years. So yes, if we're not more evolved than we are today, we will be extinct. Yeah, most people don't realize it, but our planet's spinning around. Everybody knows that. And our planet's orbiting our sun, but our sun is orbiting our galaxy. And not only is it doing this, but it's also doing this. And by doing so, we pass through clusters of stars around things, quasars and stuff like that. And every now and then we might get a little too close to some. And that might be what triggers these mass extinctions because they're all kind of spread out evenly. And a lot of scientists think that now. So that could be us in 100 million years. So there's nothing wrong with preparing ourselves ahead of time on thinking how this do it. And if aliens are out there wanting to help us do that, it's even better because maybe as we evolve, they'll help give us the knowledge and the information to do it. What do you mean? Would I hypnotize an alien? Who wrote that? I hypnotize a lot of people. You want to be hypnotized? Well, you know what? We're going to be doing conferences soon. I'll let you know about it. We'll be doing hypnosis out of them. Yeah, we do it online, but I don't really like to do it online. I really prefer to do it. Who told you that? Yeah, I do. I have. Oh man, I have a set of tarot cat card decks. That's probably older than most of the people listening to this. I can tell you this: they're over 40 years old. I think I want to say they're 45 years old. Mm-hmm. They were used for lots of interesting stuff, and they sit in a cedar box in my room along with a Aleister Crowley deck. That's about 30 years old. I like keeping the same decks. I design my own deck. I design my own deck, but I also design my own reading. The way I read cards, I designed it myself, so it's much more accurate than a standard reading. Mm-hmm. Yes, but anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. One night I might come on and do a show. People have been trying to get me for years to put it up on YouTube. The way the style I use, the spread I use, yes. But we'll talk about that on another night. I was talking with a friend of mine, and she had reminded me that doing this YAP thing, or this little whatever this Joe Biden thing was. Oh, let's talk about UFOs, and they really didn't talk about anything, not at least in the public meeting. Maybe in the private meeting they did, but in the public meeting they didn't talk about anything other than showing a couple of flare videos of what could be UFOs flying around. Well, it could be alien craft flying around or something else, but we don't really know what that was. We don't. So you can't count on the government to tell you the truth. Because honestly, I don't think they know as much as we think they know. I think in a lot of ways, they're just as scared as the average human that something may happen to them. And as far as, well, they get abducted too. So, okay. I know I keep getting off track tonight for some reason. So let's get back on track. So alien abductions happen in family lines. They do not happen outside of family lines, and they do not happen one time. Anybody who tells you that is lying. They've never done their research. Pure and simple. Most people will never remember ever being taken. 98% of anybody who's been taken will never, ever remember being taken. They may have some weird dreams. They might think about some strange stuff, but they will never be taken. They will never remember being taken. The 2% that do remember being taken, there's a reason why. Because they have shown some type of interest. So those people may end up being keepers, which keepers are just contactees that help with the aliens with other contactees on board the ship or abductees. They may become communicators, or there's a couple of different things they put you that you can become, so that you're out there telling people about UFOs. And it doesn't really matter what your story is. It's just the fact that you're out there talking about, hey, I've met these aliens. I've been involved with these aliens, and I just want to tell you what's happened to me. Because some of it's going to be scary, some of it's not going to be good. If it's between, say, age 12 and age 28, there's probably some pretty nasty stuff happened up in there. Ovaries, eggs removed, sperm removed, weird things on board the ships, babies being taken, stuff like that. I mean, and all kind of body parts being taken and put off, mental and physical stress to see what the human body will take. There's a lot of that goes on from puberty till about 28 or 29. Then contact changes. It changes into something much different. And if you're one of the ones who have made it past all the BS in the beginning, they want you. They want you to be a communicator, or they want you to just go out and speak in general. They want you to be a keeper. There's lots of things that they really want you to do that helps other contactees and their abductees. Again, they don't really care about the general population. I hate saying that because it makes it sound bad, but they don't. When I met you, I already knew that. And with a little bit of work, Nicole, we could actually bring back the childhood stuff. And I bet you most of it is not bad. I bet you most of it's fun. You know, that's a weird thing. I'm glad she typed that, because for kids, and this is weird because, you know, I do a lot of interviews with a lot of different people, and we're very funny how we deal with kids because they're kids. But almost every child I've talked to under the age of 12 that had not gone through puberty yet said the same thing. They liked it. They enjoyed it. They had fun. They laugh, they cut up. You'll hear them say, "Oh, my bug-eyed friends," and stuff like that. It's not until puberty, and it's horrible. I mean, I don't want to make this out to be anything what it is. From once you hit puberty all the way up to 28, it's just not a fun ride. That's why they block out most of it, because really most humans just can't handle it. It's too much, and it's scary, and it's disorientating, and it makes you mad. And like she just wrote in there, that's why I don't have kids. You know, it's a lot of people feel like that are contactees, especially younger ones, that they do. A lot of them feel like that. A lot of them actually have had problems with something to do with the contact itself, because the doctor's like, well, I don't understand why you can't have kids. And then, but they can. And it really seems like it's something to do with the contact. And we know they take babies. We know it. They take them because somebody the other day said, "Oh, they take all this experience." No, that's not why they take them. If you ever go back and read Rachel's Eyes and Helen Littrell, I think it's past now, but you'll get a better understand why they take them. So they take them because they're hybrids. And if they're too much of a hybrid, they can't live here on Earth for a couple of reasons. One, they may not look right, but two, even if they look like us, they may have abilities that do not fit into our society. Yeah, they may be very empathic, very telekinetic, but they may have telekinesis. Where they can move things around with their mind. That's not something that can be allowed. Plus, you know, they're going to be reading everybody's minds, and they'll have limited. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they can't actually be here. They might get angry and kill somebody without realizing it, or angry and just slam somebody against a wall without realizing it. And a lot of them have different diets. They have to have this special diet that they can't eat regular human food. So they don't leave them here anymore. They just take them and put them on ships. And that's where they go to work. You know, they go to work like keepers or whatever. They may sit them on other worlds. I mean, they have lots of other worlds they can sit them on and put them out there. So it's one of those things. And I cannot tell you, if I had $1 for every parent who's a contactee who told me that they were pissed off and wanted to slam an alien against the wall for taking their kids, I could have retired 2 decades ago. I was pissed. Everybody I know is pissed. I mean, how can you not be pissed? You know the shit that you went through, good or bad. You know these guys came and took you and did whatever, and then they come and took your kids without even asking you or taking you with them. I mean, come on. You know, if you take me with them, that's one thing. But just no, don't come take my kids. Take them and do whatever the hell you're going to do with them and bring them back. That just pisses me off, and it pisses off everybody in there, except for some people. Some of my peace, love, and light friends are like, "Oh no, Joe, they're teaching them the way." I'm like, "Oh, just shut up, just stop it." It's it's one of them things. Actually, you know, Marsha, I was a big PNL when I was young, man. Look, I still am in a lot of ways, but I'm a little bit tainted these days more than I was when I was younger. But I'm still kind of a big PLLer. Peace, love, and laughter. Yeah, you say peace, love, and laughter. I say peace, love, and laughter. But it's hey Rachel, how you doing? Well, you know, some people say that, Rachel. Some people believe that they do choose their path, and in some ways, I could go for that. But the parents didn't choose the damn path, so they're being tortured because their child decided to choose something when they were dead last time. I don't know. I don't know how that works. So it's I don't necessarily agree, because I don't think they're going for that, because the parents are not going for it. So this would be like a karma thing to the parents. You know, a lot of my friends talk about why we're here and suffering karma and learning. But they forget some of us are not here to learn. Some of us are here to teach. Not everybody is here to experience bad karma. Some people are here to give other people bad karma. That's what they're here for. So in this life, yeah, they may be this mean and blah, 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 blah. But when you get on the other side, you might find out it's entirely something different. Somebody you heard or did something in the past now has the ability to repay you in kind. So it's not always about learning. Sometimes it's about teaching. For me, personally, it's both. I just got to be honest. I feel in some ways I do teach out so you can get through some karma. In some ways, I feel like I have learned a lot of lessons through life. I can't speak for everybody, but I do feel like over the years that I've had to learn a lot of lessons. Whether you want to call it karmic lessons or whatever, I do believe that. But I also do believe in the same stroke that over the years I have taught many, 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 many lessons. So, and I would think for anybody who's getting older and advanced in this stuff would understand that. And we got some bright people on the network to boot. And you could be right, Rach. I don't know. I mean, until we get a gray or a reptilian or human to come take an interview with us, we're kind of guessing. But and it's funny. People always tell me, well, the grays don't have a sense of humor. Well, they do. They have emotions too. People, they're emotional race. No, they're not. They have emotions. They're more like the Vulcans in the way they deal with your emotions, but they do have emotions, and they will do a belly laugh every once in a while, and they may even make a smart comment every once in a while. The reptilians and humans have emotions like we do. Matter of fact, the reptilians kind of wear theirs on their sleeves like humans do. In a lot of ways, we're a lot like them. Body build, fingers, eyes, noses, the way we think, the way we act. We're a lot like the reptilians, and maybe that's because we got that little tiny section of it in our brain. It's a weird thing. And then the grays, they come in different sizes and different colors. You got 3-foot grays, 5-6 foot grays. You got 7-foot grays. You got 9-foot grays. You got brown, blue, and white. None of them, by the way, are actually gray. That's always cracked me up. And which used to be abduction criteria for the organization I work for. It's not anymore. We released it a while back, but so I did a hypnosis session the other night for a documentary that's coming up in about a year or 6 months or so. And one of the things when the girl's talking, I asked her to describe the beans that she's taking because I can't use alien words like alien stuff. First thing she's talking about is these electric cobalt blue looking aliens because that's what they look like because the food they absorb in their skin is blue. It's grown on board the ship. The ship uses it for fuel, but it's a blue color. It's like a blue plasma and it's absorbed through the skin. So it's a weird thing for them. So when they're just they're like glowing blue. As it goes out, it kind of looks a little gray sometimes. And then it even kind of looks a little translucent sometimes when they haven't fed in a while. And even the whites and the browns, when they do the same thing, because they eat the same food, it changes the way they look in color. It's a strange phenomenon. It's not like humans. In order for us to do that, we got to go get out in the sun. For them, it's a different thing. And they absorb their food like osmosis through their skin. We know a lot about them today. Thank God. We've got 87,000 contactees in the organization. It's not like we don't know anything. And plus, I'm affiliated with God knows how many other abduction organizations. Yeah, I've lost count. So all of this stuff is important. And you have to remember in kind, that's true, Kurt. In kind, some of us are here to learn, some of us are here to teach, and some are to do both. I would say that like the majority of our hosts on the network are probably here to do both. I doubt because we have some really advanced brains on the network. So I think they're here to do both. Like Miss Nicole, who just joined the network. I think she's on Guiding Echoes on Tuesdays now at 6:00 p.m. on Central Time. You should come check her out. She got a good show. And I heard her last night talking about it, and I agree. A lot of us are here to learn. But in her case, in my case, I think we're doing a little teaching along the way. That's just part of it. It's the way it goes. So by thinking about that, think about the grays, reptilians, and humans. So what kind of karma is that? Think about it for a minute. What kind of karma did your great grandmother remove like 100 times do in order to make you an abductee? I'm just wondering, man. She must have been really, really bad, is all I can say, or really, really good. Could be either way. I'm just not sure. Frank, abductions go back as long as I can remember. I imagine a lot of little people stories and a lot of the stories through the ancient worlds are just grays or reptilians or humans. Matter of fact, the reptilians and humans show up all throughout our history since we've been able to write. The grays show up a little bit later. There, you can find them on some, there's some pictographs of them. There's some there's a couple of pieces in the Egyptian hieroglyphs that you can find. There's also some works in South America, but they seem to came later than the reptilians. I really think they were sent here. I think the Greys were sent here to keep the reptilians and humans from getting into a fight because they are quite a bit more advanced than the other two races. And that's another thing. In the early days, we thought the Greys were here to serve the other races. And now we find out that the only thing they serve is the light beings, and that's it. They're the peacekeepers. They're the most advanced race in the galaxy as it stands right now, except for the light beings. So nobody screws with them. And I often wonder why, because a lot of contactees will tell me when the reptilian, if there's Greys present, especially if it's like a 6 or 7 footer, and one of the reptilians walk in, even one of the big alpha males or females walk in, they will put their head down in respect as they walk past them. That tells you right there that that big 750-pound reptilian, 7-8 foot tall, put his little head down to that little skinny ass Grey as he went by, because that Grey's psychic abilities probably could flip flop that reptilian and turn him inside out. And the human aliens do the same thing. And it's weird because, you know, two of these races are pretty big. Makes me wonder what kind of planets they evolved on. Well, they're in the humans, we may get up to 7 foot one day. I mean, we're getting taller all the time. So maybe we will. But I mean, these races are average of 7 or 8 feet, anywhere from 500 to 600 pounds. The human aliens look a lot like us, except their head extends back like this. So their heads are about like that, but they have hair like we do, and they got 6 fingers, 6 toes. It's weird too. All the races have multiple eye colors, and some of them are close, but none of them are just like the color eyes we have. They're just different. Like the reptilians, they have orange and red, and this weirdish greenish blue color they have. It's that's all. That last one was abduction criteria. And the Greys are the same way. They have different eyes, and they don't have those. Everybody thinks those almond things are eyes. They're not. They're patches that go over their eyes. The Grey's eye is about that big around. It's about twice the size of ours, and pupil-wise and all, it's a lot like ours. It's just way bigger. Yeah, they must live on a darker planet than we do. But the patches are for enhanced vision. Anyway, they are. They also probably protect their eyes from the UV on our planet, because I would bet you our sunlight on our planet is much brighter than where they come from. I mean, you can tell a lot. And see, that's research. That's a difference between hearsay and physical research. We actually go out and research. We talk to everybody we can. We get as much information as we can. That's why we do comparison studies. I mean, when you got 87,000 cases to deal with, you got a lot to do comparison studies on. And we've been doing it. Well, I've been in the field for almost 40 years, but the ICAR itself's been around for almost 30. And we just as many contactees as we can talk to. It's how the blood type study got launched. And everybody freaks out about the blood type study, but no one actually knows why we did it. Everybody comes up with all these crazy reasons, which is cool. But the truth is we did it so we could find more abductees and contactees. We've been looking for things, and it's not just that. There's a couple of other projects that we run that you can go on the ICAR site and see that help us find more abductees. Things that are common amongst contactees and abductees. We're looking to find people that don't know they've been taken. So if people key off, like on the website, we got a bunch of different stuff. If they key off on a bunch of these different things and they write to us, we may set up a meeting with them to see if there may be a contactee. Because, you know, if you've got an interest in the paranormal, especially if you've got an interest in dragons and things like that, ghosties, poltergeist, stuff like that, it's a good chance that you've been taken. If you like things like Dungeons and Dragon and other things along those lines, it's a good chance you've been taken. If you're a big sci-fi freak, it's a good chance you've been taken. If you're spiritual, new age, it's a good chance you've been taken. These are things for some reason people cluster around that have been taken. It's you know, a lot of contactees will go. So you start out as an abductee. You may have a dream one night, and what the hell was that about? And then you pay no attention to it. And then 2 days later, you have the same dream again. 2 days ago. And you have the same dream. And you're like, and you start seeing these dreams and they start developing in your head. And you're thinking, am I going crazy? Should I be writing this down? Should I be writing a book? And the whole time you're like, what the hell? And then you start reading. You get on the internet. What the hell? Well, somebody else knows that. And you start finding comparisons with other people who are having the same thing. And then usually you'll start watching sci-fi or things. But a lot of abductees will go through a lot of religions. And what I mean by that is They may try Catholic, Baptist, and then they may get into some of the New Age religions. They might even try devil worship and stuff like that because they're looking for answers. A lot of them will end up in the paranormal fields because they're looking for answers. They'll start chasing ghosties thinking maybe that's what it is. And it just goes that way. And the more and more, the serious investigators I meet, especially in the paranormal field, most of them turn out to be abductees. Pisses them off when I tell them that too, man. They don't want to know. They just don't want to know. They're like, I was with a group, was it 2 years ago, just before COVID actually. And I'm talking to them, saying, all you SOBs are abductees. No, Joe, you're wrong. I said, well, who wants to get hypnotized first? Let's find out. Oh, I don't want to know. I'm like, no, come on, you bunch of chickens, because I could tell. I mean, they're all 7 of them. So we did hypnosis, and I actually brought somebody in to do it because I was tired. And they all turned out to be exactly what it was. And when they started hearing the recordings, they realized that they had seen or played this in their head before, but they ignored it and went on with their research chasing ghosts. And now they were stuck because now they got to chase both because they're already big into chasing ghosts, so they got to keep on that. But now they found out that something else is going on. They got to change that. It's the same thing for a lot of my New Age friends. And New Age is a bad word. I don't even like the word. Let's just call them entirely spiritually advanced people. There you go. I don't know. What is that? Spiritually advanced. I don't know, it'd be like EPV or something. But anyway, even they find out the same things. They're seeking answers. They're looking for things spiritually that may bring them to this feeling of whatever they felt or whatever they crossed over or whatever they experienced. They're trying to find it again. And sometimes, unfortunately, it is just a feeling. It's nothing more. You really don't know. I mean, it drives a lot of people crazy because you don't know. And once and this is a warning, a friendly warning to everybody. 2 things. Don't get hypnotized unless you're ready for what's going to come out, good or bad. Okay, just don't. And don't get into the field and start chasing the field if you're not ready to change your life. Because once it takes over, you're done. You're done. And this goes for anybody. This could be in the UFO world. This could be for tarot readers. This could be for spiritual people. This could be for paranormal people. It has a tendency to take over your life, and that becomes your life. It's not a bad life. I'm not saying it is. And for a lot of people, it's actually a good life. But you have to be ready because it's going to change your life. Contact will always change your life. And I'll tell you this bit. If you can come to deal with it, come to terms with the abduction and the contact, even though you know some is good, some is bad, if you can come to terms with it, it will enhance your life in a lot of ways. A lot of my friends who are advanced tarot readers are abductees or contactees. Hey, Martha, how you doing? It's, a lot of them are. It's almost like it's almost like an extra bit of psychic ability they can draw from that helps them with their readings. What do you mean, do I read a book when I read cards? Okay. Yeah, I did like way long time ago. Yes, before you were born, Mark. How's that? Yes, I guarantee you I was reading tarot books before you were born. Yes, I'm older than I look. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like 25. I couldn't resist. You had that coming, man. I couldn't resist. No, and I don't want to be 25 either. I know what happens with 25-year-old abductees. Don't want to go there. Well, Ginger, it's true. Sci-fi is a great thing. It drives my wife crazy, but I like sci-fi. I'm big into it. I like it. It helps me. It actually helps me to relax. My brain works so much that I need something mundane that will just I can just fall into it or watch it. And sometimes, like, I'll watch sci-fi and then I'll watch it 2 or 3 more times because it becomes something that I know is playing. I can hear it playing in my head, but it allows me to think about other things and relax at the same time. Well, everybody needs to relax. Life is a tough thing. Who's rich? Somebody lying to you. Yeah, I wish I was rich. Mm-hmm. What do you mean? If I was rich, I'd move to Australia. I wouldn't even do radio again. I'd just chase aliens around. Me and Mr. Bigelow. Me and Mr. Bigelow, yep. And we'll invite Elon along too, because I know Elon wants to meet some aliens. I'm thinking about just writing Elon and saying, look, you want to meet a freaking Gray? Come over and hang out with him for a couple of days. But I don't want to scare him. Yeah, we don't want to mess him up already more than he is. So it might not be a good thing. I agree with that. No, I agree. But anyway, getting back. So, I mean, for the average person, so children, for the most part, when they're being taken, they don't really experience anything mean. The aliens are real careful not to taint them at all. There is some fear among some of them, but most of them are just like, it's just another kid. They entertain them when they're on board the ships. The keepers deal with them. There's toys and stuff on board the ship. They're really advanced toys, nothing you would find on Earth. Usually something that works off a telepathic gift. And everybody, when they're on board the ships, are about 100 times more telepathic than they are here. I don't know if it's some kind of field boost or it's just being with the Greys and reptilians and humans that much, but they are. And for a lot of them, when they're on board the big ships, not the regular ships, but the ones that are parked out in our solar system, those are different. They're huge. They're like the size of 2 New Yorks or something. I mean, they're just huge, and they have all kind of aliens aboard, all kind of environments on board. And there, it's different because you're just one of a billion other aliens, not that many, but one of a bunch of aliens, and you can do all kind of stuff on board the ship. So stuff, because our brains aren't big enough yet to house all the information we learn. So you can actually upload information from your brain to the computer there and take it back and forth. And anywhere you are within its range, the information can be transferred back and forth just like you would do over the internet. It's a strange little phenomenon, but it's a great thing because eventually all contactees are going to end up with host bodies when they die. So it's, I know a lot of y'all have heard this back in the 70s and 80s, especially. There were lots of people who were going on board ships and they would see rows and rows and rows and rows of these giant tubes that look like vacuum tubes with humans inside. They may be little children size, adult size. Well, it got weird when people started seeing their cells, but they weren't quite the same being. They might have been a little wider, a little stockier, a little taller. Their heads were definitely bigger. This is the vessel that your consciousness will be uploaded into when you die. That's another reason why there's so many reports of UFOs over mortuaries, hospitals, and graveyards. From what I understand, they can take the soul up to 3 days or whatever they think it is. I don't know if they call it a soul or whatever, but the energy can take up to 3 days, your entire consciousness, which kind of scares me to think that I could be conscious for 3 days when I'm dead. But that's how they do it. And what's cool about it is because that's how they live such long lifespans. I mean, the Greys, they all have naturally long lifespans, but if they're injured, they can upload their consciousness into a new body quickly, too. And they can even keep updated copies of themselves inside the computer in case something happens to them and they can't be uploaded. That version can still be uploaded into a new body. All 3 races can do that. Yes. And what's funny, when you get it, you get a sense of the Greys that no one's died in the Greys race in a long time. They live a very long time, and when they do, they just transfer over into that new body. So it's a strange sense when you listen to them talk about it, but it is something that they're offering us. And by the way, we ourselves, humans, have been working on this for about 2 decades now. So in mid-90s, this gentleman took a microchip about this big and had it implanted in his head to see if he could record memories from his brain. And guess what? It recorded memories and dreams that could be uploaded to a computer. So that was the most first study. Since then, they're trying to figure out a way to make a copy of your consciousness and put it on a disk and then get another body and upload that consciousness to a completely empty brain. I don't know when they're going to do it, and we won't hear about it for a long time. The rich and famous will get it for the first 2 decades, and then it may trickle down to us liking, what's that, Altered Carbon TV series. Yes, it might be something like that. Kind of scary, but interesting at the same time. Yes, we're moving that way, but do we really want unlimited lifespans on Earth? 7 billion now. What happens if you don't die and you can just get a new body? Oh, shit, huh? Next thing we know, there'll be 25 billion here, and then another 5 billion on Mars. It'll get out of control. But it'll be interesting to see where it goes. And it's a great technology. But anyway, getting back to where we were. So the kids, they really, really kind of feel okay with the aliens. They don't have any fear of them. So then puberty starts. Now, you know how puberty is, ladies and gentlemen. You might be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It starts for everybody at different ages. And kids today are probably a little faster than they were when I was growing, but still, I doubt it starts before 11 or 12 for them. But anyway, so it starts. Well, that's when they become most interested in you, at least for this. They really want to know all about the human body works, how everything works mentally, physically, and they want to know the difference between humans. One of the reasons they're still doing these studies is they find it interesting how each human can be unique. I mean, there can be a lot of similarities, but then there can be a lot of uniquenesses that they're not quite. For the Greys and reptilians and humans, it's different. They're more, whatever part of their society they belong to, they're more close-knit than we are. we seem to have unique experiences, even if we come from the same family and the same group. It's still a unique experience to us. It's a little stranger than how they react to things. So for us, they start doing experiments. They do breeding experiments. Several people, almost all women, almost all, not all, but almost all women will give up at least one baby and probably a couple of dozen eggs in the time they've been taken during puberty. It may be more than that. Depending on the significance of the individual being taken, they may even give up 3 or 4 babies. Now, the weird part about this is they really don't go past 3 months. So for most women, they'll never even know they were pregnant. But from time to time, we've got over 5,000 cases like this. A woman will go in and get tested, and she'll be pregnant. So she'll go get an ultrasound, and there'll be a baby there. Okay, so now I'm pregnant. It's 2 months. 3 months comes. She goes to visit the doctor. The doctor does also. There's no baby. And it's weird because not only is there no baby, but all the hormones are back in shape. The body has shown no change at all. Whatever change had happened had reverted. It's like you were never pregnant. For those 3 months, you were pregnant, and then after that, you're not. And some women do mourn it and feel the loss, and some don't, which I have no idea why, which ones do what. I guess it's a stronger brain, and then some never even realize it. It's just where you are, I guess, on the contact link. If you're a keeper or you're working with them, then you're going to probably know that something was taken. You'll probably be aware of it. You may even participate in it willingly. But for everybody else, it doesn't work that way. They just take them. You mean like in taking? Yeah, they do have sex in the ships. But I don't know if it's like taking when they're floating around and while the Greys are watching. I don't think that's how it happens. But still. And we know this because so many people we meet. So I'm talking to a lady one night, right? And I start telling her about what she's wearing, what she looks like. I even told her the color of her underwear. And she freaked out. She thought somebody was watching her through her house. I said, no, that's what you looked like on the ship the other day. And I even told her the picture she had on a keychain because she was clenching it. And she said she clenched it when she got scared. So it was very weird. And it's not me. It happens to everybody. At conferences sometimes, because sometimes we'll show up at conferences in force, 30, 40, 50 of us. And sometimes we'll 4 or 5 of us. But regardless, they'll recognize each other. Or we'll be in chat and they'll know each other's voice and they'll start talking and they'll start talking about what each other looks like. And they know exactly what each other looks like. They've never met ever. Live on other sides of the country. Sometimes on the other sides of the planet. But yet they know each other. Because on board that ship, they're together. And they're probably together a lot because they're in the same group. There's core groups for abductions. And people don't realize there's a center group. And then each group gets a little bigger and a little further out as you go. So the first group might be 6 people, 3 people. And then from there, it just goes out. And it kind of like a circle. It goes out maybe 3, 6, 9, 12, or 8, 16, 24, whatever it may be. But it goes out quite a bit till, each group's probably 500 or 600 people. And God knows how many core groups there are on the planet, but there's a lot. So these are things that help you because that's groups you're with. For some people, they may consider it soul groups that they would travel with back and forth. But in reality, this is what it is. Now, and here's a little side note for all my friends that are listening. So the Greys live a long time. So they know your family line going back, since they started doing this. Whatever it is, 10,000, 100,000, however long it is, we'll just say 100,000. So for 100,000 years, that same Grey has been abducting everyone in your family. They know more about your family than you will ever possibly know or understand. And if reincarnation is true, they have witnessed it between generations going forward. So, they may see Martha and Nicole in this generation as this individual, and then they may come back as this individual or that individual. They may skip a couple of generations, but they would know because they know you. They've been intimate with you. And I'm not meaning sex, people. Everybody sends me crazy emails. It's just they know who you are. They know your consciousness forward and backwards. And they're watching this come back to your family line. So they may even know how many people are actually in one family group. If there is such a thing. So, it's a strange thing when you start thinking about this because they really do know a lot about us. And they've been in your head deeply. They've been all over your body. They know. They may even know about the mole on your butt cheek. I'm just saying. That's just how much they know. A lot of times they'll know more than your mom, dad, or your boyfriend, or husband, or girlfriend, or whatever knows about you. I don't leave anybody out. So it's just the way it is. So how do you deal with those thoughts? I mean, how do you deal with knowing that just something, not someone, but something that knows not just you, your family, your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, your uncles, your aunts, that intimate in your family. And you know they're taking these children. And then you know they're taking the ones going through puberty in their early 20s or in their mid 20s or in early teens. How do you deal with that? How do you not get mad about it? How do you have kids or grandkids or even you could be the aunt or the niece of somebody? How do you deal with that? How do you not get mad? I know it's a tough one. What do you mean? I'd slam his head into the wall. See, that's just a reaction. Dragging my son along like that, I'd just get pissed. Well, my son's 36 now, so it's a little different. Yeah, I was like 12 when I had him. I was just stupid tonight. Yeah, I was 12. Yeah, I was fast. What can I say? I might have even been 11. I don't remember. Yeah, I was fast. I don't know what y'all talking about. You know what fast means. Okay. But again, going back to this, you know they're taking your shit. You know, so you're a child or you're a grown woman or grown man now. You're in your mid 20s. You know they're taking your mom and your dad, or at least your mom or your dad, depending on what kind of family you're in. You know it. Are you okay with them taking your 60-year-old pop and doing experiments on him on board the ship? That's just as bad as them taking your 5-year-old daughter. And now they're taking both and leaving your ass at home. So they took grandpa and dad and your grandson, I mean your daughter, and they're all on the ship and you're at home. You can't even do nothing about it. You're not going to get a little pissed about that? You're a better person than I am, is all I can say. Well, I strive to be a good person. I believe that, the universe is teeming with great stuff and there's great ways to connect on so many different levels. It's like cosmic consciousness, is for humans, it's a great thing. We can really connect and learn a lot of things. But don't, people, before y'all start writing and telling me this, don't be telling me you're connected with the grays and the cosmic consciousness. One, it would burn your brain or your consciousness. It would just, you'd be toast. You have to remember, consciousnesses are in levels. And on Earth, we're at this level. So when we go to our consciousness, we're still at this level. Now, we might be able to go up one or down one, but we're not going any further than that. You're not going up 100 to the Gray's consciousness level because it would melt your brain or melt your consciousness. You wouldn't even be able to understand what you were seeing or experience. It would just be too much for the human body. There's so much we don't know about anything that it makes us hard to reach and strive for those kind of levels. And everybody should be striving to move forward and become better, better connected with the universe. Who is that? You know what, Jen? I'm a firm believer in the universe is sentient. Yes, I am. How does it say? I believe we're little pieces of the universe. I think we're the universe made manifest. It broke itself into little pieces so it could figure itself out. So whatever entity created the universe was probably sentient. So we know the universe is sentient because it creates life. Not only it creates life, it destroys life on a daily basis. What do you mean? It created us. It's proof that it creates life. So if it creates life, it's sentient. I can guarantee it's a sentient being. And it's huge. And it's growing every day because it's eating 4 of the galaxies, including the Andromeda galaxy. I mean, not the Andromeda, the Sagittarius galaxy. No, Andromeda's going to eat us one day. Sorry, I got that backwards. So it's alive. The universe is sentient in itself. Not to say there's not a supreme being out there, not to say it's not sentient as well. But the universe is alive, and it is probably true that it has created us to figure its own self out. It just broke us into little pieces. Not just us. There's other billions of planets out there, trillions of planets, with other hundreds of trillions of Googles of trillions of beings out there doing the same thing. As we evolve, it evolves, right? Right? The more we learn, the more it learns. And then what happens when it becomes fully sentient? Oh, shit. It might evict us all. Or it might snap back like they say it will. I don't know. Again, I wasn't there at the Big Bang. We know the Big Bang is interesting, but we don't know if it's what actually happened. There are some sticky points because of that. Now, getting back, so now you're in puberty now. So, man, there's stuff like, they like to test. They'll like take your arm off, or they'll take your wrist off right here. They'll laser it off. And then they put it back on. Sometimes I think it's just to test pain. Sometimes I think they want to see how you react not having a hand. It could be any damn thing, but they do put it back on. And we know this because we had people who get tested and found out that there are micro surgeries that had been done. like the alignment of the wrist was off like 0.001 milliliters. I mean millimeters. Yes, like less than a thickness of two hairs. Um, well, how did that happen? You're not putting it back. I mean, if you broke it or had to cut off, our hospitals aren't nowhere near that good. So what the hell happened? We know about people having their spines removed. My favorite one is, I shouldn't say it's my favorite one, but it's one of the more scary ones. So this woman was in there screaming and praying to Jesus, just nonstop, saying Jesus, la, 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 la. So the gray reached in, took both her eyes out, turned around so she could see herself, and told her to have Jesus fix this. I don't even know what I even freaked out more, I think. I mean, you were seeing yourself with your own eyes, the empty sockets of your head with your own eyes. I know. No, actually, she did voice stress and was hypnotized. She passed both. Yeah. Don't ask me why they did it. I guess they got pissed off. They got tired of hearing. I guess they got tired of hearing Mr. J's name. I don't know, but obviously it aggravated the gray. Again, that shows emotions right there. They wanted to prove a point to this woman that there's nothing you can do or preach to that's going to save you from us. Well, it's like there's a group called the Alien Resistance Movement. And I know a couple of guys over there. Joe Jordan's not a bad guy, and Guy Malone and all them. We just have big difference in what we believe in. And they believe that all alien abductions are demonic possession. Okay. Not sure why the devil wants spaceships and grays and reptilians and humans and all the crap that goes along. It really doesn't make much sense, but I guess it's possible. I'm still not believing it, but I guess it's possible. But I will say this. I did meet a few of his people that he was working with over the years, and I regressed him. And, with a simple regression where we don't ask any questions, just tell us about the event. And all the events turned out to be alien abduction. I will tell you this. You can never stop an alien abduction. If it stops, it's because they want to stop. There's nothing you can personally do. You're not going to invoke any God's names or anything else that's going to make them stop. If they don't feel the need to stop or they think you're useful for something, they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop taking your kids. They're not going to stop taking your parents unless they do. But about half of all abductions do stop. I mean, usually, even sometimes in the puberty sections they stop, but usually in your early 20s, if you're not going to be part of the program or you can't absorb what's being told to you, a lot of times then they will just drop you and you won't get picked up. But by saying that, if you have children, they will come take your children. Oh, yes. And if they have children, they'll come take their children. Just because they're not abducting you don't mean they're not going to come take your kids. Daryl Simpson and I talked about this one night because he told me because he was the alien hunter, he scared him off. The bullshit. They still took his son and his grandson. And under hypnosis, you'll find out that his son and grandson still being taken. They don't need to take Daryl anymore because he got the son and the grandson. Why do they need Daryl anymore? So they don't take him anymore. And they may still take him, just not let him know because he was such a pain in the ass. And they do that a lot. If you become unruly or too much of a problem, they just block it out. And you don't remember anything. Because remember this, people, they don't have to let you remember anything. If you do remember something, they saw a spark in you that suggests that you can be part of the program, the open part, which means that you can be allowed to remember a lot more information, know a lot more about their agendas, and actually help some of the people who are scared out of their brains along this line. Well, not all abductions are horrible. I mean, most abductions aren't. It's just at age, between 12 and 28. And not all of that's horrible, but a lot of it is. At least half. Yeah, at least half. But before that and after that, it's not. When you're in your 30s, contact changes into a much different thing. It becomes a much more open, a much more, how can I say it? A much more, both of y'all are now on not even planes, but still close. They allow you to know more. They allow you to roam the ship. They allow you to be in contact, whatever. They allow you to be on the big ships where you can have access, just not to other humans, but to other aliens. You can have access to their hologram rooms and some of the other stuff. You can learn a lot about them. They want us to know. It's not that they don't want us to know. Reptilians, humans, or grays, they all want us to know about them. They want us to know about the Galactic Council. They want us to know about everything. But they don't care, again, if the majority of the population knows, because for some reason I get this sneaky sense that they know something we don't, like something's going to happen, because 1/3 of all contactees have the Holocaust dream. 1/3. And the Holocaust dream is an interesting thing. It's not like a nuclear war or anything. It's some type of pandemic. It just seems to kill or convert the majority of the population on the planet, but it still leaves behind like a billion and a half. And some of them are left here to colonize, and some of them are taken off world to colonize. But all of them are in the new host bodies. None of them are in their original human bodies anymore. So, I mean, stuff like that is just weird when you hear it talk about it. And I would ignore it if it was one person or two person or three person or five person. When you get up to 10, 15,000, 25,000 people saying this, then you have to take it serious. It's something else. And you got to remember, we talk to people about this stuff, but they don't know each other. And a lot of our stuff we're talking about is not public. Even if you listen to the show, you learn a lot, but it's not enough to screw up the organization, because about 61% of all abduction stuff we keep secret. We call it abduction criteria. It used to be 50-50, but recently we've learned some new stuff. So unless you're in the organization or very close to me, you're not going to get to hear it. It's because honestly, it has to do with, if I told everybody the stuff we know about abductions, I would never know if you were lying or telling the truth. No, because you'd always know what to say. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, just a week ago, I dealt with this, or 2 weeks ago. Someone was giving me the right answers nonstop. And then, so I changed the conversation to stuff that if they knew, then yes, they were a contactee. If they didn't know, they were bullshitting. We got about halfway into part two of the conversation. I said, well, it's nice talking to you. I said, but you're not a contactee. Oh, I definitely. I said, no, you're not. Sorry. Well, I'm busy. I don't want to waste my time. It's just one of those things. What can you expect? You mean in your 30s? Well, let's say in 20s for a minute. So 20s is where you're going to give up a lot of the ovaries. That's where the babies are going to be moved. It's where a lot of sperm is going to be removed. It's also where you're going to make some of your connections for later on in your contactee life. And what I mean by that, not just for on the ship, but you're going to make contacts with people that you're going to meet further down in your life. And frankly, all the contactees are really close to me. Well, I'll tell you the same thing. They seen these people and met these people like in their 20s, and then re-met. Some of them married these people in their 30s, or became really, really excellent friends because they were great friends on the ships, and they have finally connected with each other. It's hard. Think about it. They fly around, take people from different parts of the country and different parts of the world, and you all see each other on a ship. And on the ship, it doesn't matter what language you do; it just translates to whatever language you know. So you don't know where these people are from. You might all be from the same town. You might be in New York. One might be from Paris or London. You don't know. So it's not like you're just going to run into them randomly. It's rare for that to happen. It does happen, but it's rare. Most part they connect because they're in groups and shows like this, or groups, and somebody says something and they recognize something they said. But voice is always better than text, because you don't recognize. You just see text. You're like, okay, well, who is this? But when they're hearing people talk, a lot of times they recognize the voice, and then instantly they'll start talking to each other, and they know all kind of stuff about each other. They know their birthdays, when they were, where they were born, stuff that only friends would know. And you could tell these people were big time friends on board the ships. So the 20s, even though a good chunk of it is bad, there is some stuff in there that is good. And if they're using it for your breeding program, well, there'll be lots of sex. So they didn't have to be, but for some reason they prefer. I think they just like to watch a bunch of perverts. Well, because too many contactees say, yeah, they do both. They artificially inseminate you, but they also allow them to have sex. Maybe it's just because you make relationships on the ship and you're already on the ship, so that's where you do it. And then later on, when you get home, you forget. And then you hear this guy's voice, this girl's voice, and you're like, wait, I know that. And then other memories come back, and then you're like, no, that can't be possible. And then you find out it is. It's a strange thing. The stuff in the 30s is much different. Stuff in the 30s, usually they want you to become a keeper or something along those lines, somebody working with them, somebody helping out, or they want you out spreading the word as a communicator of some sort. Out there, or they want you as a motivator who's also out there communicating in different ways, or they want you as a researcher, but they want you helping to enlighten the abductees and contactees. Again, they don't really care about the general population. If they did, they would just land on the White House lawn and say, hey, guess what? But they haven't done that, and they don't seem to want to do it. And unfortunately for us, our government doesn't seem to know squat about extraterrestrials. or they wouldn't. You know what? If the government knew anything, there wouldn't be military abductions. It's pure and simple. If they knew all the stuff that sci-fi and people in ufology think they know, they wouldn't do military abductions. There would be no need for them. But they're abducting people because they don't know. They don't know much more than anybody else does. And some things I don't even think they know as much as we do, because we get pinged a lot from different places in D.C. I notice when I speak at the Washington Press Club, lots of senators' aides show up and shit like that. Congress people, you'll see House representatives. Sometimes you'll see them. Sometimes you'll see the aides, because they want to know. And it's not something they can readily available go look at, because they don't know. And even if the information is somewhere, the government is so compartmentalized that you'll never get to it. Think of it like this. I've got a lot of friends in the government. I've made a lot of friends over the years. A lot of people have had interest in me for whatever reason, or had interest in an organization, or had interest in somebody I know. And a lot of them are scared. They don't necessarily think ET is just friendly. I haven't seen anything that suggests that they're here to wipe us out or kill us or eat us. Well, let's look at this from a different point of view. Let's say they were. Well, why didn't they do it 10,000 years ago when there was 2 million people on the planet, or 20 million people, or 100,000 years ago when there was only 2 million people on the planet? Why not then? Or why not just go back to our original ancestor and wipe it out? We know they can time travel. We know they can take people out of time and space, so we know they can time travel. So why not? So they don't do it. So obviously they don't want to wipe us out. Then that eating us is bullshit. They don't want to eat me because I'd be high in cholesterol. Yeah, I'd probably give somebody a cardiac arrest. It's y'all little skinny bastards. You lean suckers are going to have to worry. No, I haven't seen no evidence that they eat us or anything along those lines. Not to say they might not be a race out there that would eat humans, just none of these seem to. No, the reptilians, they would probably think we were too high in cholesterol too. Yes, I would think the reptilians would. But, well, no, we're going to get back into the 30s now, because this is when a lot of people decide they're either going to get dropped and they're not going to be taken anymore, or they're going to become part of the program and help, really to generate this, really get out in the public and make a difference. Get out and help people understand that the contact is real and you can have a normal everyday life even though you're being taken. Yes, you can. It's not an easy thing, but with the right friends and the right family, you can easily have a normal life even though you're being taken. But they really do want these people out communicating. They want people out talking. And there's lots of ways to do this. Okay, I've seen people post, well, I've been taken. Well, that's great. So you're the kind of person who can go out and say, hey, you might be doing a tarot reading one night, or you might be just doing a general reading, or you might be doing a lecture somewhere. That stuff you can include it and say, hey, sometimes people have this, or this because they may have been taken. It's just something that can be tossed in without becoming a major conversation and help people to understand that this is real. Well, when you get in your 40s and 50s, contact is actually different in the fact that if you've been with them for a while and you're one of the keepers or one of the higher ups, you get the run of the ship. You can do whatever the hell you want. As long as you're on board the ship, you can run around, do what, you can go to other worlds, and you can just, you have unfeathered access to everything. Well, because you prove that you're not going to blow up the damn ship, for lack of a better way of saying it. It's like anything else, you build trust. And remember, they're telepathic. They can read our minds at a whim. Even though on board the ship, sometimes it's a little bit harder because our psychic abilities are much better on board the ship. And they're enhanced somehow or another. And I noticed the Greys have a little bit harder time getting into your brain. Well, no, humans are going to have great telepathic abilities. It's just we got to get off world. And it's not about believing. It's about having the gene. Yeah, Carolyn, I see, that's how I used to be. I believed everybody on the planet had psychic abilities. I fought about it. I argued about it. And then one day, because we do psychic awareness tests for the organization, because we won't consider you an abductee or a contactee unless you're at least empathic. We expect you to be really empathic and a lot of times telepathic or more. That's one of the criteria for being an abductee. We don't believe that you're not. So I got this bright idea one day. I took a blue and a yellow card and I went to the local mall and I put up a sign that says, would you like to be tested to see if you're psychic? Man, everybody and their mama was stopping. I'm not kidding you. I mean, it was people lined up 50 deep. So it's a real easy test. Okay. Yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue. I'm thinking yellow, blue. I move the cards around. I set them down. Which one's which? It's two. I mean, even if you're crappy, you should get 50-50, right? Well, that rarely happens, by the way. Usually people flipping a coin, people rarely even get 50-50. It's like 40-60 or 35-65 or something. Yeah, I know it's weird. But if you're a true psychic and you can read my mind, you'd get the card right every time. Every time. Well, maybe 1 out of every 500 people, maybe 1,000 people actually turned out to be telepaths. Everybody else failed miserably. Some people got less than 25% right. It's just sad. So we learned, and it's not the first time we've done it. That was the first time we've done it, but since then we've done it at least a dozen times since, and it always turns out to be the same thing. Very limited people actually are telepaths. And it does probably fit into the current population around about 15%. And only probably about 2% of that actually even recognize it, and that's the contactee group. And that's why they recognize it. But the aliens aren't going to take it because that's probably, when they got into the originally family lines, they probably seen something from the reptilians that interbred with them that gave them a way to go ahead and enhance our psychic abilities. And being around them actually enhances your psychic abilities. When you spend a lot of time with them on board the ships, your psychic abilities become much sharper and much more aware. We'll get to that. You mean out of time and space? We'll get to that in a second, but they do. So, I mean, anybody can do this test, by the way. Do 4 cards, whatever. You can do coins. It's whatever you want to do, but test people. It's not most for them. It's more for you, so you understand that no, not everybody has psychic abilities, and not everybody will even evolve to have psychic abilities. Not anytime soon. Now, if a big population, it's like the O negative, RH negative 15%. Eventually, that's going to reach 50 or 60% of the population, and it would be the same for contactees. For telepaths, if they were breeding into the population. So if there was 15% of the population that were telepaths and they were interbreeding with the normal people, eventually that percent would become more telepathic. Maybe not as strong as the originals, but still they would become telepathic. But that don't even seem to be what's going on because we're not even finding that high of a concentration. So it's a weird thing. But the majority of people we test are just not, they just don't possess any ability. And it's kind of sad. But it's also things I ask parents and friends. Do you know where your kid is? Do you know when they're hurt? Do you know when there's a problem? So a lot of moms will say yes, but a lot of them don't actually, but a lot of moms do. A lot of dads do. That's telepathy. You have a link with your child. You have a telepathic link with your child. Usually it's an empathic link with your child. But you can do that with your friends and other friends. And on a weird note, on a side note, before we get into something else, can you imagine making love to an empath if you're an empath? Can you? Do you have any idea the experience? And what's worse than that, though, if you're empath and you're married, it can get you in trouble. Because a lot of times you'll think something and your partner will say it. And you don't know, were you thinking it? Were they thinking it? What the hell's going on here? So there's lots of advantages to it, though, especially in business. There's lots of places you can know what your point is, or like if you like to read, or if you're a telepath that likes to read, or if you're somebody that likes to read tarot, it can help you there as well. Okay. Well, you mean why did I give it up? I didn't actually give it up. What happened was I was actually reading for some pretty big names. I'm not going to get into who they were, but I'd worked at the bottom of the teacup for a while, and then so I was talking to a person one day and I touched their hand, and all of a sudden I got 15 years of their life. And I mean, just who they were going to marry, how long they were going to be together, how many kids they were going to have. And there was no way to prove this. So I just blurted it out and told the person and described it, what the guy looked like and all that. And she had just told me about this guy she'd met and he looked identical to that. And I even told him what kind of car he was driving, actually what kind of truck he was driving, which really freaked her out. And then some other stuff. And I was kind of like, all right, well, I'll never get anything off of this. I'll never know. Well, get this. About 3 years ago, she came and found me. And everything I told her was exact. It was like a glimpse of time. I can't even call it a reading. It was like a glimpse of time. And every now and again, it doesn't work for everybody I know, but every now and again, I will get one of these and it is complete. It'll give me 10 or 15 years. So it's not like when you hear these big famous people, I see here at Jay. No, 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 no. I'll tell you, you're going to marry John Kim. He's driving a blue pickup truck. He works for such and such. It's just when it comes, it comes. I wish I could do it on demand. I'd be a freaking millionaire if I could do it on demand. I prefer I'd be a billionaire. It just, for me, it doesn't work that way. It just, I don't know why it's some people, not other people. Maybe it's somebody I've had some kind of connection to with on a ship, or maybe in a past life or something. I don't know. I wish I did, but it's crazy the way it works. So I kind of slowed down on tarot reading because I was doing that. And I had predicted a couple of negative things that I didn't like. A good friend of mine, I was reading her cards. We were all going to a Stevie Nicks concert. And I had got 4 front row seats. And I said, we're going to go see Stevie Nicks. And she came by and I read her cards. And I said, maybe you should just stay home. I said, it's something. I don't know what it is. I said, you should just stay home. I said, I would just feel better if you did. She said, what are you trying to sell my tickets? I said, no, if you want to go, come on and go, Charlotte. I said, but I feel like you're going to be in jeopardy. Well, so she got pissed at me and stayed home and went into miscarriage. And the doctor told her if you'd have been to the concert, you'd have been dead. They'd have never got you out. She bled out. They said if you wouldn't have been like 6 blocks from the hospital, you'd have been dead. They told her outright. And it's not the first one. So for a while there, I was seeing a lot of people dying, a lot of babies dying, a lot of other people dying. So I just took a break. Yes, the ability got home too much, and it happens. I don't know. I've always had the ability to see people's death. And even when I was young, it was something, seeing my own dad's death. I've seen my mom's death. I've seen a lot of people's death. It's so, yeah, I turned all that shit off. I'm not even going to lie. Man, who wants to see somebody's death, really? You want to see somebody's death? I don't want to. You mean my own? No, I don't want to know that. Hell no. Might be something goes on I don't want to know about. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm with y'all. Well, we're getting short on time, but there's just so much that goes on in this field. Well, we keep getting sidetracked. We've been talking about other things while we're going on. But there's so much that goes on in alien abduction. We haven't talked about reptilians and humans. We haven't talked about some of the more advanced things. So here's one. So most people didn't realize this in the early days, but the aliens adjusted to the researchers. So, we used to always use missing time to find a case. Oh, missing time. Or cover memory. Do you know what a cover memory is? Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to whisper, but so there was missing time and cover memories. Well, ICAR screwed that all up for everybody. So about in the 90s, in the late 90s, we started noticing that missing time wasn't happening anymore. We were still getting abduction reports, but we didn't have any missing time cases. And we had done a research on, people seeing owls and this, that, and the other thing as cover memories. They aren't cover memories. They are trigger memories. And what I mean by that is the aliens leave something for you. So I don't believe that anyone sees a UFO or an alien spaceship. I only believe people who have been on board can see them. I don't think anybody else sees them. If not, like the Phoenix lights. Look how many people live in Phoenix. 2 million. I think, a couple thousand seen it. Look at the one in Mexico City. 24 million people. 1 million people seen it, but 24 million. What happened to the 23 million? And there's been sightings, the Belgium sightings, 36,000 people seen it in an area where 4 million people live. What the hell? And these were things that were being talked about on television while they were happening. Hell, we've got the one in Belgium. We've got the F-16 pilots recording when he flew up on the damn thing. And he had 4 other pilots with him, and he was the only one that seen it, even though it was on radar for the Belgian Air Force. But he was the only one to see. He fired on the damn thing. Yeah, it didn't. According to him, the missile just disappeared. It didn't hit anything. It just disappeared. Didn't turn to dust. It didn't disintegrate. It just disappeared like they sent it off somewhere else. And then he was ordered to stand down, but they followed it for a while. They talked to it about a while. Sorry, the president realized I had my phone on. I thought I had it on silent mode. That thing is loud too. So, knowing they can do these kind of things is bad enough. But then my favorite case, I love talking about this case. I'm in Pensacola, Florida. I'm having a good time. Went down for regression. And just a general meeting. So we went out to dinner with the couple, had dinner, had pictures taken. It was a high dollar dinner. We had pictures taken, and, everybody was dressed to the nines, women in dresses, guys in suits. Everybody looked really good. So when we drank till about midnight, 12:30 or something like that, I said, well, I'll see you tomorrow when I get out of bed. I'll come by and see you before I head back to New Orleans. So I'm sound asleep. Man, my phone starts ringing. I look over. It's like 5:45. I'm like, I'm cussing at this point. Who the hell's calling me at 5:45 in the morning on the weekend, no less? So I look and I see it's dim. I'm like, what the hell do they want? They know. So I open the phone halfway asleep. And she just starts screaming, you got to come over here. You got to come over here. You got to come over here. I'm like, what the hell you mean? Something happened. You got to come. You got to come. I'm like, so I look over, wake him up, get up, get dressed, throw on some jeans and a t-shirt, get in the car. I'm still half asleep. Got a cup of coffee in my hand. I get there and I walk in, and my boy's got a beard like this, like twice the size of what I'm wearing on my face right now. Well, the night before he was clean shaven, smooth as a baby's ass. And her legs were just smooth as could be. The woman had hair in her legs that long. The doctor said it was at least 3.5 weeks worth of growth on both of them. So I'd seen him at midnight, and they called me at 6. Well, I was there by 6:30. So for those 6 hours they were gone, they managed to rack up enough hair for 3 weeks of being gone. So when we finally had a chance to hypnotize them, they were gone for 3 weeks. There was just tons of memories in there. There was lots of stuff where they were just being held and held. And when they hold you sometimes on the ship, they hold you in a stasis. So you're not really remembering anything unless you're part of letting them roam the ship. It was crazy. I mean, I'd just seen him. I had pictures of him. Even the doctor was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, so this is from last night. What the hell's going on, doc? He called it spontaneous something. But he said, I've never seen it happen to 2 people in the same house at the same time. He said, that's never happened. He said, this is probably something we should put in the Guinness Book of World Records. I was like, what? Yeah, I was kind of confused by that. But it's, so, we get cases like that. We get the cases like the one about the missing time, the gain time, where people are put back at the same time they're taken, or a little before, a little bit after. The whole thing is crazy. But they did adjust because there's no more missing time cases anymore. And the cover memories are definitely trigger memories now. So if you see a UFO, the first thing you should think of is what happened to me. Is something going to happen to me, or what happened to me? If you see some weird thing, old days it was owls or deers out of place. So if you're standing on a highway in the middle of the desert, there's no deer, but yet there's a big old buck standing there looking at you, that's a trigger memory. That's to let you know something just happened to you. You just got put back. Start trying to figure out what happened. That's what trigger memories are. But the field was so arrogant, and I fought with them for 2 decades before they would actually admit that downloads existed and triggered memories were what they were, and they weren't cover memories. It took 20 years of research to get them to change their mind. And they knew they were wrong in the beginning, but they didn't want to change their mind. As far as I know, ICAR is the only organization that's ever said, you know what, we made a mistake, we were wrong. And this is what it really is. With the Greys, we thought the Greys worked for the other beings. We realized, no, the Greys are it. And the other ones kind of were scared of them. We learned things like that. We learned about the blue plasma. We learned about a lot of stuff about them. So we had to change the way we looked at things. And from time to time, we get new information that shows us that something we thought was accurate isn't. And we're not scared. We will go out and say, hey, we made a boo-boo. This is what it is, and this is why we changed it. I have yet to see, and I've been in this field for a long time, I've yet to see any other organization, MUFON or anybody else, ever admit they made a mistake. And they've made lots of them. Lots and lots of them. All these so-called famous ufologists. If you go back and listen to Wake Up USA, its first 3 years, and you listen to the famous ufologists there, you will hear them quoting me word for word. Because they all used to come on Wake Up USA, every big name ufologist, they've been on this show as well, but it all been on Wake Up USA, and they all said abductions weren't real, and we should not talk about it because it was bad for the field. That was Paula Harris, Richard Dolan, Peter Robbins. The only people that weren't like that was like Jim Mars and some people like that. I miss Jim. Jim was just a great guy. Then there's some really good researchers out. Dennis Baldfazer was another good researcher. There's been some really good ones. But a lot of them are just in it for the ego and the paycheck. And that's it. They're a minute of fame and any money they can grab off of it. They're not doing real research. As a matter of fact, a lot of the people in the field are actually using other people's research to work up off of. And I can't tell you how mad I made the field when I changed the Betty and Barney Hill case. I actually had the audacity to go change some of the past cases because we knew more information and we knew where they made their mistakes. And since I do hypnotism myself, I understood why there were 3 sets of dreams with Barney Hill. Betty was not the contactee, Barney was. And people used to get so mad at me when I'd say that. I said, I will regress her. I will voice stress Betty tomorrow. I said, she's not one of them. I said, she's the one. She admitted herself when she was on board the ship last time because that was a military thing. The big case that's famous is a military abduction. And she admits sitting there, reading a book, flipping through the book, putting it in a drawer that slid in out. The book was paperback. I mean, the book was a hardbound bind with paper inside of it. She talked about needles were being used, razors for scraping stuff, fluid samples were being taken. That is no alien abduction I've ever heard of. That is typical C to C. Let me check you out if you've been contaminated. And she talks about guys in white suits. She also talks about 4 people in black shoes, black pants, black duck-billed hats, and black shirts that came and got them out of the car, looped their arms up, walked up some stairs, and brought them into what probably was a blimp of some kind or something else, and then did these things to them and sent them back. That was not aliens. That was because people don't realize, but when they were in Canada the day before, they were staying at a hotel. Well, Barney and Betty cannot tell you the name of the hotel where they stayed, and they had breakfast across the street. So they couldn't tell you the name of the hotel across the street or the place they had breakfast for. Later that day, they stopped to ask for directions. Betty describes him as a white Irishman. Barney describes him as a black cop. Really? That's classic alien abduction 101 is what that is. That's classic alien abduction. So they were taken in Canada. The government's fully aware of it because they've been tracking Barney his whole life. They found out when he was young, he was an abductee. He's been out of psychiatric care for, I think, 20 years on and off. He had a colonel living in his house. He was friends with 2 of the colonels. He was a man he was in a mixed marriage, and he was invited to the White House. Yeah, there was some shit going on here. It was just way more. It was definitely a military abduction. They found this kid, they friended him up, and they tracked him his whole life. He died young. I think he was in his 40s and maybe his 50s, but he died fairly young. And he was truly the abductee. And he may have even been the first true military abduction. But boy, the field didn't like me changing that. Holy crap. I still remember George Norrie. You'll never change my mind, Betty and Barney Hill. Into the show, I'm like, hey, George, what do you think? Oh, he said, that's pretty damn good, man. So it's one of the things. We got to get out of here in a few minutes. We got time for about 2 or 3 more questions. What time is it? Yeah, we got about 7 minutes. Maybe 2 minutes. Yeah, well, I got to let the Outer Realms come on with the wonderful Michelle DeRochier and the spectacular Emilia Passano. Yes, Passano. Yes. Emilia, Yes, the evil one. No, that's Michelle, actually. No, but they're coming on next, the Outer Realm. I don't know. She had a show said, but she said she might be doing a Q&A tonight. So I'll be looking forward to that because I always like a good Q&A. I might stop in and see how she's doing. So y'all be sure to join her and tune in. Remember now, go vote. We got 18 days left to vote on the podcast award. So be sure and go vote. I'll be playing a commercial at the end, but go vote, people. Yes, I have 2 shows up. UFO Undercover's up, and The Centralist is up. Both of them. Go vote, go vote, go vote. John Goodman has Writers of the Future's up. The Writers of the Future Award, that's what he does that show. The Outer Realm is also up, and Chasing Prophecy is up with Jenny, Jason, and Sean. Sorry. I was going to say another J. So be sure to go vote for all of them. Over anybody else you want to vote for besides that. I'm listed 3 times. So go vote for me as you Undercover. I'm listed 3 different places. Michelle and him is listed as most influential female podcaster. Yes, so go vote for them. I hope to see a lot of new shows up next year for the awards. We had 5 last year. We had 5 this year. I'd like to have 6 or 7 next year. So go out and vote. No. It's well, we all got runners up last year. Mm-hmm. They said, you want the runners up trophy? I said, no. Yes, I'm a bad loser. No, just kidding. But no, man. Either you win or you don't. There ain't need no running up things. Denise, yes, they what they do is they can. It's like a pocket of time. They just pull you out of our time and hold you in this pocket. So time's moving on around you, but you're still in this pocket doing whatever they got you doing. When they're ready to put you back, they just basically put you out when they took you. So there is no missing time anymore. Well, that way people aren't looking for you. Kids aren't looking for you. They just pop you right back, and that's the end of it. Sometimes it's a little early. Sometimes it's a little late, but it's usually within 10 minutes either way of the time they took you. Oh, you know what they? Oh, yes, that's a good one. So you know what they do with cover memories. Hey, Mike. Cover memories, we're talking about cover memories when they try to hide a contact, like if you're abducted or something like that. They don't use that anymore. They got slick. Like I told you, they started reacting us. As far as I know, we're the only people who even figured this out. people are starting to use it now because it's our research, but MUFON still has not figured this out. They still are looking for the old way. They're still looking for missing time and these weird cover memories. They're never going to find it because that's not how they do it. They loop memories now. We found this out because they made a couple of mistakes over the years, and we found it out because of that. So they'll loop a memory. So let's say you drive to work every morning, take the same route every day, blah, blah, just some bullshit you do every day. Boom, they loop that memory. You're never going to question that memory, are you? Ever. Oh yeah, I drove to work. Unless something weird happens on that memory, like on a drive, it's not. So one case, this is a funny one. This woman was craving hot dogs. She was 6 months pregnant, right? For her last 3 months, she stopped every morning at this hot dog stand on the way to work and got this big, giant, messy chili dog every morning. How she didn't kill herself and a baby is beyond me. But anyway, she did. So something happened, and she said, "John, something's weird. I went to work today and I stopped and got a hot dog like I did before." I said, "Okay, what's the big deal?" She said, "No, the hot dog stand has been closed for 3 months. Or it was for 6 months." I'm like, "What?" She said, "Yeah, my son's like a year and a half old. It's been closed for 6 months. They went out of business." I'm like, "You're shitting me." So she came over. We put on the video recorders. We hooked up all the tapes. We put on the voice stress monitors. And we did a hypnosis session. And sure enough, she had been taken. But that was a giveaway because the aliens didn't know the hot dog stand had closed. This was just a memory they seen a lot in her head, so they used it. They didn't think she would question it. And if the stand hadn't closed, she wouldn't have questioned it. The other one, like the one in Pensacola, Florida, where they put the ticket in the car. They got a ticket at 10:30, but the car was still at the hotel at 10:30. They didn't leave the hotel until 11 o'clock, and the people at Circle K said they seen them in the store at 11 o'clock. You should see them leaving at 10 minutes to 11, their car, to get in their car, and they leave. And they leave, they go down the beach. They stop at the Circle K, they stop, and then they go down to the beach where they parked, which was 11:30 when they went out on the beach. But the ticket they got was for 10:30. Well, I personally talked to the dispatcher and the officer, and they both said the same thing. It was 11:30. And the funny part is the two girls at the Circle K who could talk to us earlier because they were changing shifts when we got there. The two that had came in, when I went back, I said, "Did you see it?" Because she said, "Yeah, his name's Mark. He comes in all the time." And she knew exactly who he was and he was exactly where he was going. So it was 11:30. So he was out there writing a ticket somehow at 11:30, but it was actually 10:30. What the hell went on there? How did that car get a ticket for 10:30? Because he was at the store at 11:30. That's where he went when he left. When he was actually at the car site at 10:30. That's what the dispatcher and him both say. He was at the car site at 10:30. And then he went to some place. I forgot the name of it. Oh, yeah, it's a little restaurant up the street. He went in to get something, something he had ordered for dinner. And it was right at about 11 o'clock. And then he went up the street for something. And he came back and went to the Circle K to get a pack of cigarettes. And it was 11:30. So he got his whole trip. We were able to verify the whole thing. You tell me what happened. How did that happen? How was that car there at 10:30? And where the hell were the occupants of the car? Even though the hotel camera shows that car at the hotel at 10:30, and it does not show anyone leaving that room until 10 minutes to 11. It showed them coming in somewhere around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and they did not leave again until 10 minutes to 11. You tell me what went on there. But it was definitely out of sorts. It was definitely out of whack. And not just that, the ticket was tucked in between the console of the car. The cop said he put it on under the windshield wiper. They found it. He said they luckily found it. He said he dropped something. He went in between the cars, the seats. So he went to look at the middle of the console and he found the tickets in there. Any ideas, people? So we realized that they had changed their methods and they were using gain time or even time or past time. They weren't losing missing time. And they were using looped memories. That's a big significance. And that's directly because of the researchers in the field. And that's why it happened. But we're going to go now. I want to thank everyone for hanging out. So we had a great chat group tonight all the way around. Great seeing a lot of regulars coming in. Great to see a lot of newbies coming in. Remember, we got a new show on the network, Guiding Echoes. She's on, it's Nicole Annette. She's on 6 o'clock on Tuesdays. Be sure to go check her out. Coming up next, of course, is the fabulous Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Passano on The Outer Realm. Be sure to go vote for them as well. I'm out of here. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I will see everybody Friday night on The Sensualist. Wreaking havoc. Good night, everybody.